So I've been doing some notes on how to create NATO counters for the brilliant Inkscape Counter Extension by Pelle Nilsson, which is available on GitHub. This is a tool that lets you create counter sheets automatically from CSV, comma separated value files. And I promised some friends that I would put together a little note of how I recreated a counter sheet from the 1970s for an SPI game, Leningrad. So on here you see the finished item of the counter sheet that I created. It's actually based on this, which is the counter sheet section from Leningrad, which you'll see has a mixture of green coloured Soviet counters and Feldgrau Germans and a couple of black German SS counters. So the way that this remarkable tool works is right now I've got the counter sheet layer on screen. I'm going to get rid of that because I can't actually create a counter sheet without that. And normally what happens when you open up the template file, you will see the file has a combination of a large selection of NATO symbols over here. So these NATO symbols are, a variety that you require. So there's infantry, cavalry, armed, and armor, and whatever. And we use those symbols in a definition file, and we lay them on top of a unit template. So over here you'll see we've got a number of unit templates that come with the product when it's shipped out, but it also has the one that I've created based on unit T, which is called unit SPI, which has the SPI name, size, parent and values. So the CSV file includes the details of all this information, so the unit name, the unit size, the unit parent, and it's going to overlay these onto the unit template and fill in some colours. So by way of example, what I'm going to do is extensions, board games, and create counter sheet, and it's going to go and pick up my Leningrad counters CSV file from my desktop, so which is where I happen to have saved it. So when I apply this, the system will go off, it will contemplate the contents of that file, and it'll go off and actually work out and generate the counter sheet. So this happens in real time, takes a little longer than some others because I'll explain in a moment, it's got a couple of images as well. I didn't really explain at the beginning just what this page layout is about, so actually you'll see here the bounded box is actually an A4 page, so these are 5/8 of an inch counters, and you'll see that the counter sheet routine has generated these counters very cleverly. Now, so it's a little confusing. You'll see there's a little bit of overlay of counters over here. That's actually because we've got both the back and the front. So if I switch off the front, you will see it's going to display just the back of the counter sheets with my untried values and my reduced values for those. And if I switch on the front and off the back, you will see it's got the counters on the front. Clearly front and back are designed so that when they're printed on opposite sides that they align when you print them out, and that's why the back, when you show both front and back together, the back it appears kind of outside of the front. So very clever, very useful in printing double-sided counters, which I can testify is pretty hard. So how did that magic happen? Well, it actually happened based on an Excel spreadsheet. And you'll see that I've created an Excel spreadsheet that details for all of the units. It details the fact that it's an SPI unit, then it specifies the type of the unit, then it specifies the name, and if it's got a parent, so if it's a division within a corps or a regiment within a division. So you'll see here we've got some referencing to parents that I've actually got down here for my armoured divisions, reference to the divisions in question. The other interesting stuff here is it's also got some colouring, so you'll see my SS unit has black with white text as opposed to grey with black text. Couple of other interesting bits and pieces in here. You'll see I'm using all these different symbols, but I've got a slightly interesting one called MT. Now that's actually generating something called a fort, and that's an olive colour with black text, and the black text is going to drive the fort value. So if I flip back to my page here and get rid of the back once more just to make it a little clearer, and we zoom in, you'll see if I zoom in That's these fork counters that we were looking at just a moment ago in the Excel definition. So the other really interesting one is this air counter, which has a PNG file as the basis of it. So again, back in Inkscape, these are my air counters, and these use something called a marker image template. So if I go right over here, you'll see there's a template, and this is the marker image template. So if I click in that template, you will see it's actually called marker image 1, and back in my spreadsheet that's marker image 1, and then this tells us to create it back. What we do when we save that from Excel is we actually save that as a text file. So there's the text file output for 100 counters, and that's the file that runs and generates the counter sheet that we saw earlier, sitting here. So that's my brief outline. Hope you liked it. If you want to ping me a note, I'm JZ Edward on Twitter and on the joys of YouTube.